Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Articulated Review. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing the Hot Toys video game masterpiece series, Batman 6 Scale Arkham City, or I'm sorry, I take that back, I'm lying, Arkham Knight Batman. Not going to go into a whole lot of background about Batman. At this point, most everybody knows his origin story. It's never really changed. There's been lots of different storylines with him. So just to give a little background on the game, for those of you who might not be familiar, there won't be any spoilers, I promise. The game was released in 2015. It was developed by a company called Rocksteady Studios. It was actually their return. They had actually made the first two games, which was Asylum and City. For Origins, WB Montreal, I believe, came in and took over that game, which was actually a prequel to all three of the Arkham games, but Arkham Asylum, City, and Arkham Knight, which was actually the last game. If you played any of those games, you'll know that Origins and Arkham Knight kind of had a really similar storyline, in that in Arkham Origins, all of Gotham's villains, including some new introductions, were trying to fulfill this contract of taking out Batman that was going to pay like $50 million. And in Asylum, Scarecrow has actually released a fear toxin into Gotham City, and now all the villains are working together to try to get Batman. The game kind of incorporated themes from Nightfall, because Azrael shows up and of course wants to take his place. There's also themes of Dark Knight Returns, which if you want to pick up a really good graphic novel, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, I think it was from like 1988. I know it was in the 80s, but anyway, excellent graphic novel. Under the Red Hood also plays a part in it. For those of you who have played the game, you understand where that reference comes from. There's also parts of it that are kind of like Court of the Owls and also The Long Halloween. So it incorporates a lot of different Batman storylines and graphic novels into just this one game out of the series. Not going to review the game. If you played the game, you know what its strong points were, you know what its weak points were. This is not a video game review, just a little bit of background about this particular version of Batman from that particular game. So anyway, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get him out of the box. Cheated a little bit on this one, guys. Went ahead and took him out of the box already because the way he was packaged, it was just easier to already have him out of the box to show you. And just to be a little bit honest, he's already been out of the box before. So anyhow, this is really where you're kind of getting your bang for your buck with this figure, is in the accessory department. He does come with quite a bit of accessories. So on this first little layer here, after you take him out of the box, you get all his wonderful toys. So you have these nice little grappling hook on a wire attachments, and I'll show you that here in a second where those go. Of course, you have his, I believe this is the grapnel gun. This is the grapnel gun, and I think that's what these go into. You have them, one shoots one way and one shoots the other, and he can, or no, this is the zip line. This is actually, I think, the zip line weapon. So very highly detailed, looks really good. I don't know that you ever really got this close of a detailed close look at it in the game, but these little things actually move like they're supposed to, and it's really cool that they went to that level of detail with it. So this is the actual grapnel gun. It looks like it's got two different attachments here. You've got this kind of line, I don't know what kind of attachment that is. I don't know what particular, then you've got this different one here that attaches on. So we've got a couple of different attachments to this gun, it looks like. This doesn't actually seem to want to stick on there too snug. It's a little loose. I don't know, the color of that doesn't line up with that gun, so maybe the shape of it does. I think this is just supposed to be just the grapnel gun, because that actually, when you put that in, it actually stays on pretty well. Or maybe not, I don't know. That's just it's very odd. I think that's the gun he used to like shoot the little, that like unfolded, and that was the gun that he used to shoot the tracker bullets. And it doesn't actually seem to want to collapse back down. I don't think it actually does. I think it comes unfolded like that and it just stays like that. I don't know, it's kind of confusing. I don't remember all the weapons. And like any typical man, I didn't read the instructions, so it's probably got the descriptions of what the weapons are. I think that's the the C4, like the foam, the explosive that he uses to blast open like weak walls and doors. This is the little, I think this is that little this is that radar jamming gun or listening gun where he can spy on people's conversations. You got a couple of different styles of batarangs in here as well, and then you've got a little freeze grenade right there. So it comes with a lot of the weapons he actually had in the game. Not all of them, but quite a bit of them. I think this is actually, I think now that I look at this is like the sticky bomb gun, possibly. That's all those accessories in there. So let's get to the main part of the box. Oh, I can feel it underneath, so I'll go ahead and pull it out now just so I can complain about it. Hot Toys, stop with this. These cheap, stupid cardboard inserts. I am not going to stand this behind my figure. This is dumb. This is dumb. Stop doing this. It's just cheap. Nobody uses those. You're just wasting cardboard. Please stop. Okay, got that out of my system. So as you can see, I mean, it's a well-made figure. It's well sculpted. He comes with several different hands. Of course, the standard hands that are attached to it are the fists. He's got a hand here that looks like it's probably for holding the freeze grenade. This one looks like it's probably for holding a batarang. This one looks like it's probably for holding one of the guns. This one's basically the opposite hand version of this one. Same with this one, it's a batarang holding hand. This one looks like it's also a gun holding hand as well. And you get one kind of open gesture hand that you can use for some other type of pose. He does also come with a different face guard, so you can get this kind of more aggressive look. And of course, you just pop the head off, you use the little tool, pop that faceplate off, pop that one in. And so you can go with a little bit more aggressive look. The one really cool thing is that he actually has this little hologram screen that pops up out of his gauntlet. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's Oracle, which is also, you know, Barbara Gordon, Commissioner Gordon's daughter, who secretly helps Batman because she secretly knows his real identity and helps him out, gives him intel. The suit is really cool. If you look on here, I'll actually go ahead and just take him out and move the, oh, and then of course there's the little base plate down in there that says Batman Arkham Knight. Has all the pertinent information engraved on the little metal plate. If you look really close, you can actually see there is some battle damage. Some of the parts, like the bat symbol here on the chest, is pristine, but if you look at the cowl, you look at the mask, there is actually weathering and a little bit of damage to it. For Hot Toys, I will say that the belt feels really cheap. It's just all one molded continuous piece. These are not individual pouches attached to it. It doesn't seem to be. It's all just one molded piece out of rubber. I mean, they weathered it, they painted it, they made it look good, but it just feels like something you would get like on a NECA figure. It doesn't really feel like Hot Toys quality. And then right here on this gauntlet is the little slot where you can pop that little screen in to have, you know, where he can be communicating with Oracle. So let's go ahead and address the issues. You know, it just feels a little cheap. You know, the head sculpt looks excellent. The head sculpt's amazing. And they're doing this based off a non-living, breathing human being. They're doing it off of a digital character. Just like with the Joker figure, it just feels a little, he actually feels cheaper than the Joker, because at least with the Joker, he had real clothing. So it did kind of give him a little bit of a bump there. The suit, I don't know what the material is they used to make it. It's like almost like a vinyl plastic type material. So you're gonna have the issue of you can't really do this with his arms because you get the bunching. And I can guarantee you that if you leave it in that pose for a good day or so, it's gonna crimp and stay twisted and knotted up looking, so it's not gonna have this uniform. It feels like under here, these muscles are actually rubber. It's actually not a hard plastic carved body, it's actually rubber. So it's a little soft underneath, and he's got some pretty hefty biceps going on. And hefty. Now down here, the thigh, the legs feel like solid plastic. Bad crotch. Anyway, these are just, I guess these move, of course, to give you some flexibility there. It looks like he can do the bat communicator thing, the screen on either wrist. There's a slot on this gauntlet to slide that little screen into as well. Which is probably how I'll actually pose him. I'll pose him with the little screen, like he's looking at it. That would be cool. I don't know, just, he's got good articulation. He's got the ratcheting joints. So, you do feel like if you put him in a pose, he will stay that way. I'm just concerned about putting him in any kind of really crazy dynamic poses just because of the nature of this suit. Maybe if you took a hairdryer and lightly warmed the suit up before you moved him into a pose to give it a little more flexibility, that might be one way to combat the pinching and the permanent creasing of the material. You may not risk it as much if you do that first, and I may test that. I may take a hairdryer and test heating the suit up a little bit first before you move it around too much. But let's go ahead and address the main elephant in the room, the standard with every Hot Toys figure to date, the cape. Hot Toys has gone with something kind of similar to, the only thing I can think of is like the capes you get with the Medicom Real Action Heroes line figures. It's a double layer cape. The outside is a very soft pleather material with an inner liner, and not every segment, but well, no, I take that back. You've got a wire down the middle and a wire on the second crease in from the outside edge on both sides. So you basically only have 3 posable wires. There's no wire running through the bottom. There's no wire along this outer edge where you would absolutely have to have one. And the way they folded and pinched and tucked this thing into some protective pouch in the back of the box that was slid down there like you pulled out like a piece of tissue, you're pulling out of a tissue box, it's just wrinkled and mashed up, and you've got to sit there and mess with it and unfurl it and pull on it and pinch and tug. It's a nightmare. Hot Toys, please learn how to make a decent cape. This is ridiculous. With every character, with every figure that has a cape in the Hot Toys line, you pretty much have to go to somebody like Tony May and get a custom cape. And I do think there already is a custom cape, but I don't know necessarily that it's Tony May, but there is somebody out there who makes custom capes that I think they're already taking orders for custom capes for this figure. I don't know how easy it's going to be to get this cape off, because it looks like it is actually taken and pulled all the way up and connected somehow underneath this chest plate. So you can do some maneuvering. See, these pieces actually aren't even attached to the back. They're only attached on the front. Like, look how much that one comes up. I don't know. I may just end up having to leave this cape on him because I'm too scared to jack with taking all this off and potentially breaking him. You may not be able to get a custom cape for this figure, but I mean, just look at that trash. It's just all bunched up there, all that plastic just pushing against it. And it's this double layered material. They honestly would have been better off just going with the single layer material with no wires, no nothing. Kind of like the cape that comes on the Dark Knight Batman figure. It's just a single layer material. It's just a super long cape, and it just kind of hangs and drapes how it's going to hang and drape. This is worse than even the cape that came on the Batman Returns and '89 Batman figures. It's just horrendous to have to deal with. I'm really disappointed about that. It looks like You know, if you could get it to unfurl, it's got that nice little tail on the bottom of it that, you know, always flaps and drags whenever if you played the game, you know, whenever but you can't even get enough width out this way. It's just insane. I don't know what Hot Toys was thinking. This is, I'm really unhappy with this cape. I mean, this on the back of it, it's got this kind of two-tone pattern thing where, I mean, you have the leather going this way, and then this down here is a little bit shinier, maybe a little bit more grayish, the way it catches the light. And so it's got this two-tone look to it. I mean, it's cool, but Hot Toys capes. I don't know. Good face sculpt. The eyes really pop. The suit's cool. I mean, it's accurate. This material just feels funky and cheap and feels like it's gonna crease really easily. And the cape. So all in all, I mean, I'm kind of a little irritated for the amount of money I spent for this, because I don't think the price tag that Hot Toys, you know, they were asking the same price tag for this figure as what I paid for, you know, the Dark Knight Rises Batman figure. And that figure is much more superior to this. I mean, I could see paying right at a couple $100 US for this figure at the most. It just, a little disappointed with how much I spent with what I got, but it's Batman, so of course I love it by default because it's Batman. But still, it's accurate to the game. I mean, I can't stress that enough that it is accurate to the game. It just feels like, it almost feels like it's a hybrid figure, like it was made partially by Hot Toys but partially by like NECA or somebody else who makes, you know, much cheaper, you know, 1/6 and quarter scale figures. So anyway, yeah. That's it, I'm done griping. So that's it, guys. Not the best work that Hot Toys has ever done. I think they're really kind of not investing a lot of time into these video game masterpiece series figures. I mean, they're obviously the sculpt, the face, the accessories you get with it, the suit, the attention to detail. It's what you come to expect from Hot Toys. But there are just things about these video game series, kind of like with the Joker, the Arkham Asylum Joker figure, and I assume the Arkham Knight character figure, they just seem a little cheaper in comparison to Hot Toys' normal work. And of course we have this horrendous cape issue that I'm just really not happy with. And I think we've all come to expect that just Hot Toys cannot make a decent cape to save their lives. So this may be one of those rare occasions where I may actually invest the money in a custom cape to put on this figure just to get it that look. I'm enough of a Batman nut that you know, I like having the figure as part of my collection, just not 100% satisfied and happy with my purchase. But that being said, if you really love the game and you really love Batman and you just feel like you absolutely have to have it, just know what you're getting into with the cape and just kind of the overall, you know, if you put this figure next to, say, your DX12 Dark Knight Batman figure, it's not even going to seem like it was made by the same company, is basically what I'm saying. So just be forewarned on that. Outside of that, you know, it is what it is. So can't really recommend it. I got it for me because I'm a Batman nut. If you're not a Batman nut, don't waste your money. If you're not into the video game, don't waste your money. And if it's just because you're just a Hot Toys collector and you just like collecting Hot Toys stuff or collecting 6 scale, save your money for something else. That's just my opinion. But anyway, until next time, guys. Bat crotch.